actually got me. I wasn't expecting that. You piece of garbage. Yeah. There's the button. Formula One fans, old and new, welcome to Finding the Wall, a wholly unserious F1 podcast. I'm Jess, a new but extremely enthusiastic Formula One fan.
And I'm Gabe, who somehow managed to not smoke despite watching Formula One since 1990.
Yeah, you don't smoke, and you've never smoked.
Never smoked.
I don't really smoke either unless I get...
It was not a lack of advertisement.
I get really drunk. And then I smoke like one cigarette. But, oh yeah, because there used to be all over.
The entire thing.
Yeah. And then when did they make they made a law saying that you couldn't anymore, and everyone had to change their liveries.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily all at once, because it was some European countries that like started banning it here and there. Mm. And then at some point, Formula One itself was like, we're done with this. But that doesn't mean that it went away, because then especially Marlboro, or, Philip Morris, I think, for Marlboro and another one that I forgot, another brand, they came up with like other ways.
Yeah, it's like other things that they own.
Yeah, like secret advertisement. The most famous one is the Ferrari one, where the Marlboro just wrote Marlboro in barcode on the Ferrari.
That's great.
So if you see like early 2000s Ferraris, they have like this barcode in the engine cover. And that is just Marlboro.
See, when I was younger and saw like Formula One highlights or something, I thought that it was just a cigarette race.
Yeah.
Well, shall we yap about Montreal?
Maybe let's not yap about smoking anymore. Never did, so I survived that.
Good for you.
Yeah.
But let's yap about Montreal.
Let's talk about Montreal. How was Montreal for you, Jessica?
Montreal was interesting. It was cool. It was my first Montreal. Well, all of these are my first. Yeah. It was an interesting race. It was one of the first races that I actually sat there and I was just like, I wonder what's going on my phone.
Yeah.
For the first time. Because it was fine. And the ending was, of course, really exciting.
It was.
But up until then, it was just like, okay, yeah, this is one of those races that I've been told about that's just like, it's a race. Yeah. Nothing spectacular really happens. There's not a lot of like really interesting stuff in the middle of the race. It's just, And
I don't know about you, but like I had that feeling the whole weekend. I watched one of the practices. I didn't watch all of them. I watched one of the practices, and they're always boring, but it already felt like it was going to be an extra boring one. And then I sat through qualifying and it was like, this is definitely one of the qualifyings of all time. And then the race was going on. It's like, all right, this is definitely a race that's happening. And the interesting thing is that, like, especially nowadays, it's very common to see a lot of hubbub whenever there's a boring race where there's no overtaking. Mm-hmm. And the cool thing is, like, there were overtakings in this race. Like, this was not a parade.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not Monaco.
But it proves that, like, overtaking does not an exciting race make.
Well, if you had one sentence to sum up the race, what would your...
That you can overtake and be boring. That's it. Like, that was the most interesting thing about this race is it's like, oh yeah, technically a lot happened. Just nothing of consequence or excitement.
Yeah.
Up until the end.
Well, ask me about my one sentence.
And what is your one sentence summary for this race?
Mind the gap.
Gaps are very important in Formula One.
Gaps are, especially when there's not enough of a gap.
Well, and this is, I don't know if you're going to catch the reference, so I'm ruining the joke before I tell it. But if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
You're no longer a racing driver, yeah.
So
who said that?
Senna.
Yeah.
After crashing into Prost to win his second title, I don't remember now.
Because I had seen that before.
Yeah. Yeah, and everybody was like, I can't believe that you would drive into your opponent like that. I was like, well, I drove into a gap. I didn't drive into him. He drove into me because I drove into the gap.
Yeah. But I mean, we'll get to talking about that. Yeah. So I would like to talk about, let's just go ahead and get to like what we learned from the race.
This was your first one.
Mm-hmm.
How was it? What did you learn about Montreal or Formula One?
So here's the thing that I really learned from this race. And you can attest to this because you were here. We were watching the race together.
Uh-huh.
I don't think I like myself when my boy's not winning.
Okay, so a few episodes ago, I asked you.
I know, you asked me.
I was like, how is it? Are you prepared for if you follow this for long enough, inevitably your team is going to suck.
But they didn't suck though.
No, they didn't.
They didn't suck.
Yeah.
I am a McLaren girly and they did not suck.
No,
but
they did not.
They did not make podium for the first time this entire season. Yeah. And the qualifying was not great. Mm-mm. I mean, which is weird to say because Piastri still got third in qualifying. But that was a bad weekend for him. Yeah. And I was happy for George Russell. I like George Russell a lot. I talk about how much I love George Russell because he's such a cunty little bitch.
Yeah, he had the best spelling.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. But I was yelling. I was screaming.
Mm-hmm.
Because
you were saying some terrible things to Kimi Antonelli.
And it wasn't even Kimi's fault. I'm happy for Kimi to get his first podium. Good for Kimi. 12-year-olds really need that encouragement. You know?
I will never tell him what is it that you said about him. But I was here. I remember it. About a literal child.
I just really wanted Piastri to catch him.
Yeah.
I really wanted Piastri to catch him and get into third. But good for Kimi for overtaking Piastri on turn one. And then he just kind of stayed there the entire time. Good for him. He did a really good job, but Piastri's my boy. And I really, really wanted him. But it wasn't even so much the Kimi Antonelli. It was when Norris was trying to pass Piastri at the end of the race. And we all know kind of what happened. We'll talk about it. But I'm a Piastri fan. I am a McLaren fan. Lando Norris is not my favorite when it comes to the McLaren drivers. And so I was just like, you are not going to get around Piastri. You're not going to do it. And I was screaming. And then I actually said to myself, I need to sit down. What am I doing?
Yeah. It was loud. You were getting really mad at both Norris and Antonelli.
I know.
Again, saying horrible things.
I know.
To a literal child.
I felt really bad.
But honestly, it was, as a spectator to that spectacle, it was awesome. I had a wonderful time.
I felt really bad afterwards.
I don't have as strong an attachment to any driver as you do. So which is weird because you've been doing it's probably because you've been doing that for so long, and you've seen so many drivers come and go. Yeah, I briefly mentioned it before, but I had one idol in Formula One. Yep. And then he died in '94. And I'm okay. And then from that point on, I kept watching it. One, he was my idol because I was a child. Mm-hmm. Then he died, and I was like, I'm going to keep watching this because I like cars going vroom vroom. The personalities themselves, I had my many years of hating on Schumacher. Yeah. I have my many disappointments with Rubens Barrichello never achieving the greatness that my country expected him to achieve, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not like I've been completely devoid of any emotion, but my time was those first 5 years. Mm-hmm. And then it was from that point on I'm watching this because car go vroom vroom. But I was a big Mika Hakkinen fan. Well, I have taken all of your driver apathy, turned it on its head, and then cranked it way up into child violence and aggression. It was it was really cool because the things that get me the most exciting on any given race are battles. Mm-hmm. Right? The championship isn't whatever. Not that nothing else has excitement to it, but the battles are the best part. Mm-hmm. And to some degree, doesn't matter who's battling. Yeah. I'm a McLaren fan, so I'd prefer if it is McLaren drivers passing someone and whatever. But to a large degree, it doesn't really matter who it is. Seeing the battle is the best part. Yeah. So it was so good. Yeah. So you were Antonelli, motherfucker, get out of the way. And I was like, don't get out of the way.
Get out of the way, Kimi.
You know, help Lando catch Piastri. Have a three-way battle.
Yeah.
I want to see you three go down the back straight. Just ham. Right? Like, I want to see you three, you know, fight for the last corner, like the wall of championship chicane. That's what I want to see. And because that was when that was happening, when everybody was crunching up and they were all together, that's when you were the most inflamed. So I was like, yeah, but we were both, I was getting a lot of excitement from you. Good. Even though I was not as mad.
I felt so bad.
And I did not really want the same outcome that you did. But it was awesome just to see, like, this is great. This is fighting on track. That's amazing. So, you know, y'all more.
Yeah. And afterwards, my partner was just like, how's your throat? Are you okay? And I was just like, yeah, fine.
I'm okay.
It's fine. It's not a big deal. It's okay. But it's the first time that like the McLarens have not been on podium. And I was hurt by it. I was like, what? I thought, and I said before, I joked that, oh, I'm a Knicks fan. You know, I'm used to losing, even though they went to the Eastern Conference Finals this year. Go Knicks. But I'm used to them not being like the best team and making stupid mistakes and just being like, well, it's the Knicks. You know, we went to the Eastern Conference Finals and they fired their head coach. And I was like, yep, that's the Knicks.
Yeah, but
that's what happens. So I thought that I would take this better, but I was just like, no.
But almost getting it is a very specific kind of frustration.
Yeah.
Like when I was, you know, watching Formula One in 2016 when McLaren sucked all of the ass. You know, there were no expectations. There was like, are they going to come out of, you know, get out of Q1? No, they did. They're starting 14th. That's progress.
Yay.
And then, you know, the cool thing about the underdog is that there's no happiness, but there's also no sadness. Like if you accept your role as underdog, it's just like, yeah, I'm here to make friends. When you start winning, it's like, I don't want to make friends anymore. I want to crush everyone. And then you don't. Yeah. Right. And the problem when you don't crush everyone in Formula One today is that Verstappen will in your stead. So yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a very specific emotion to live through that. And I'm glad that you did. I hope it's always like this.
I do too. And I know that there will be cycles and I couldn't be too mad with the winner of the race because like I love George Russell and he won.
He did.
And like
it was a good win.
Yeah. And I like the Mercedes team and they have had some shitty weeks the past few weeks. So having two on the podium, I was just like, well, I can't be too mad. In the moment I was pissed, but then afterwards I was just like, okay. Yeah. Kimi he was too young to even drink the champagne that they were pouring all over him on the podium.
And like, you haven't lived through this yet, but hegemonic seasons they're beautiful in their own way. Like seeing one car win 23 races is like, wow, I just witnessed history.
Yeah.
But
it had to be a fucking Red Bull.
But it is just inherently more exciting to get into a weekend and being like, I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm a McLaren fan, so I want them to win. But again, I've been doing this for a long time. So at this point, it's just like, but what if it's hard instead of easy? Right? And that is nice for me. Like, and there's going to be a lot of discourse this weekend about, is McLaren over? Is Mercedes back?
That's so stupid.
And the answer is no.
Yeah.
McLaren still is the best car. And Mercedes still is going to struggle. But like, every circuit is a circuit. Right? Every circuit has their own things and every race is their own race. McLaren's car is not the perfect car. It is not the 2023 Red Bull. So in some circuits, it is going to struggle.
Yeah. But I will say, even though I wanted Piastri to get into third, and when Lando and Piastri were fighting, I was like screaming at Piastri. But when Lando hit that wall, I was upset for him.
Yeah.
I was so upset. But Lando's not my favorite driver, but I was still just like, oh no.
Yeah. I prefer Lando to Piastri. I don't know if I ever told you that.
No, you haven't told me that.
I prefer Lando to Piastri.
Fist fight now.
At this point, there's no way that I can defend that he's the better driver.
Ha!
But I prefer him to Piastri.
He has more outward personality.
Yeah.
I would say, but I really like how Piastri is. He's kind of quiet and he just like gets the job done.
Yeah.
And he's so like grateful for what he has and he's supportive of the team and he's very much a team player. And I think he's very smart.
He is. Like,
he's a smart driver.
I think right now he's a better driver. He's like the more ready. But I don't know. There was like seeing Lando driving the fucking terrible McLaren of like 2019 gives me like, I want this kid to, because he was out driving that car, and now maybe he's not good enough for that car.
It's weird.
Maybe, I don't know.
Thinking, because I wasn't watching then, but Lando looks like such a child to me.
Yeah.
He looks so young. It's so weird thinking that, this is like his, seventh season?
Yeah. But he's also just 25.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
And how old is Verstappen now?
27.
It's so stupid.
10 years in Formula 1. 4-time world champion. 27 years.
27 years. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, I'm going to go.
Senna got into Formula 1 at age 24.
I'm going to go walk into the sea.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so
what did you learn this weekend?
So other than like, you can absolutely be boring without with overtakes.
With overtakes, yeah.
I had a very personal like lesson as well. And it's gonna come with a hot take if you're listening to this from Europe. So I grew up in Brazil and I live in the United States East Coast. So that means that for the majority of the calendar, races are Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
So in my lived experience, Formula 1 is a Sunday morning activity. But then we have occasional races like Montreal or Sao Paulo, or now Miami and et cetera, that like are for me in the time slot that it usually is in if you're in England, for instance. Right. So like races, Formula 1 races, if you live in Western Europe, they are a Sunday after lunch situation, to the point where like if the race is somewhere else in the world, they will adjust that start time so that it is, Sunday after lunch. And that is the worst time.
Yeah, it's
like,
not great.
I was thinking before the race.
I like Sunday morning too.
Yeah, I was thinking before the race that Montreal, weirdly enough, is one of the races that I have watched the least, relatively speaking. And I was like, oh yeah, it is because, in Brazil it's like 3 p.m. And by that time, I'm doing
your things. You're living your life.
Yeah. Right. And I've always loved Formula 1, but I've rarely ever been like, no, I gotta stop everything I'm doing to go watch a race. If someone goes like, do you want to go to the beach? I was like, yes. See,
we had brunch plans on Sunday, but we made sure that we were going to be home before the race started. Because I'm like, I need to watch the race.
Yeah, but now like we have a podcast and whatever, and it's easier for me to like commit to watching Formula 1 when I have a companion.
Yeah.
But the thing is
screaming at a literal child to get out of the way so Piastri can be in third.
But that's the cool thing is like I realizing that Sunday morning is the best time for Formula 1.
It is nice because then you have the rest of the day.
Yeah, and you just watch the race and it's cool and like you get breakfast and my childhood was like sitting with my dad in the living room and having like sandwiches and juice or chocolate milk or whatever it was and be like watching the race and then the race is over and you have like it's 11:30.
Yep.
Go do something else.
Go do something.
Yeah. So early afternoon is the worst possible time for Formula 1. That's what I learned.
Well, we should ask the question this week. Was there intrigue?
There's a lot of intrigue seeds. The McLaren's crashed.
Yeah.
So much finger pointing under the safety car. Just like the race results took like 6 hours to be finalized.
Yeah, aren't there when there 7 penalties after the race or something like that because of the safety
investigations,
car? Investigations,
but no penalties whatsoever.
Okay.
Also, well, I learned a technical thing. I just remembered.
Yeah, tell me. So
the thing that everybody was meaning, there were 2 things, right? There was Red Bull's saying that Russell acted erratically under the safety car regime or whatever. But
he was goading
Verstappen
there
was
into
all that.
overtaking him during the safety car.
Yeah. And they actually filed like a complaint to try to get whatever.
Yeah, and then the FIA was like, nah.
That's par for the course.
But even Verstappen, that was like Red Bull doing that, because Verstappen, even after the race, was like, I don't really think he was doing that.
Yeah, but par for the course.
Yeah.
But then there were the 7 people who were noted for safety car infringement, safety car procedure infringements. God damn it. And I learned yesterday that, because 7 is a lot.
Yeah.
Especially for a race that is going to end under safety car anyways. Like, what is everyone doing? Like, what did you know? And then I realized that it was because the safety car, you're still under safety car the lap that the safety car comes in. And that was the out lap going back to the pits after the race had ended. And in that lap, like, everybody slows down and some people go fast and they, pair up with this other driver and whatever. Just like everybody's cooling tires and getting pebbles onto their tires to increase their weight. But they were technically under safety car rules. So when everybody kind of like goes in different speeds and they pass each other, they are infringing safety car rules. Because the safety car rules did not end when the race ended.
Right.
So they were all like caught, breaking the rules by just doing a very normal, in-lap after the race.
Well, I'm glad that there were no penalties from it, because they're like, the race is over.
Yeah. I did not actually read the steward's verdict, but I assume it was like, no one gained anything from this. Yeah. They still finished like...
Yeah, they were just like, whatever.
So
that's good.
But that's what I learned. Like, the safety car regime doesn't end when the race ends.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But there was actually bigger intrigue, I hear.
Like, the only intrigue really, it's something that's been in the rumor mill for a while. It's just like Fred Vasseur being out soon at Ferrari. I mean, they've talked about that for a while. There's been all these rumors, and like Ferrari's not living up to its like expectations with Hamilton. Leclerc is sad all the time. All the time. I saw a great meme, which was like the old adage of, you never see anybody sad in a Ferrari. And it's like, well, you've never watched Formula One. Because Leclerc is always sad in a Ferrari. But there's been more fuel on that fire after the race because, well, number one, Vasseur gave an interview, I think last week, where they were asking about like problems. And he was like, well, we've changed almost everything. We've changed the car, we've changed the crew, we've changed everything except for one. And he was just kind of, I don't know, to himself or whatever. But after the race, Hamilton was being interviewed, and they were asking him like, what's going on? And but he was like, things are happening behind the scenes, and I can't say anything more about it right now, but there are things happening, don't worry. And so now people are like, oh, they're going to fire Fred Vasseur. And they were talking about because Le Mans just happened and Ferrari won Le Mans, and the team principal for Ferrari for Le Mans, they're talking about maybe bringing that team principal to Formula One and all of this stuff. So I'm just like, whatever.
So the most interesting thing for me about that is that Vasseur interview, when he's talking about everything that has changed, he mentions team principles. So he's not like being, everything has changed except for me. He's talking about, over the last 5 years at Ferrari, everything has changed, including team principles. And yet, here we are. Like, there's one thing that hasn't changed. And he didn't say what that one thing was.
Yeah, then what could that one thing be?
I don't know, right? But...
it's the Tifosi.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
I'm kidding.
We don't have any insider info.
Yeah.
Obviously. But the upper management at Ferrari hasn't changed in a while. And... honestly, like, I agree with that interpretation a lot. They have changed everything. So
who knows?
I hope you say he's a nice guy. He looks like a Bond villain, but he's a nice guy.
He looks like a gremlin. He's like,
if he does get fired, I hope he finds a great career playing Winston Churchill in off-Broadway productions.
Yeah, or he can just go like under a bridge somewhere and be fine.
Yeah. Speaking of off-Broadway, they were all here.
Oh, yeah, I saw. We're in New York, so was it yesterday or night before last that they had the F1 premiere on Broadway, and they had all the cars and all the folks taking their photos and everything. It's fine.
I saw some pictures, and only like 3 of them were actually well-dressed. Everybody else was in a suit that was too big. And I don't know if that's the fashion now. I look like this that you can see, but still.
Lewis Hamilton always looks good, no matter what.
His pants are too big.
That's the style now, though. It's a little oversized.
But the current
room to grow.
The current style, can still be bad.
Yeah, it can. Yeah. But it's fashion. Quote, I'm holding up my quotes. Fashion.
Yeah,
it's fashion.
I'm not rich enough.
Yeah, me either.
I don't understand.
Yeah, we're too poor to understand or appreciate how good they looked.
Yeah, we're too poor to have ill-fitting clothes.
Yeah, sorry, all my clothes fit me pretty well.
Yeah.
But the only cool thing I saw about that was there were a bunch of folks like taking photos and like helping out, and they had jackets and like suits on, and on the back it said Pit Crew, which is PITTCREW because of Brad Pitt, and I was like, that's clever, but I kind of hate Brad Pitt, so I don't care about anything else.
But anyway, a movie happened. So
happened.
Good for them. Good for them.
We'll probably watch it when it comes to streaming. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe
we should pirate it
on an off weekend. We should.
Yeah.
We'll figure out some way. Somebody with a handheld, like it's shaky. It'd be like we're like just in person. It's kind of a shaky hand cam.
I am pretty sure if you slipped Esteban Ocon $20, he would do it.
Probably.
I think out of all the drivers, he's the most likely to just do a copyright infringement.
Ollie Behrman.
Maybe.
I
don't know. I don't know why. Stroll would take your $20 and then not give you the blue
God.
flag.
He would just grab it and just walk away.
Yeah. So, Montreal. A remarkable race where a lot of stuff happened, but nothing of consequence.
Yeah. Well, other than Norris crashing.
But even that was immediately diffused by like, no, it was my fault. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Speaking of people crashing into things, maybe what they need is the emotional encouragement of getting a Finding the Wall award.
What an amazing segue.
I'm really good at segues.
Well, how about we give away our Montreal Finding the Wall championships?
Let's do that.
Cool. So our first one is anger management. Who gets your anger management award this week?
It was kind of not a lot of inflamed people, but mine was Sainz in quali when he got impeded by Hedger, and he got mad, like he got pissed in the radio with the whole massive impeding, massive.
Yeah.
And he was robbed. Like that kind of sucks. And then Hedger gets like 5 positions, and it doesn't matter. Or 3 positions, and it doesn't matter because like you got someone to not go into Q2. Like the damage that there's no punishment for him that is going to match the damage that he did.
Yeah.
So that sucks. But then between Q1 and Q2, they were interviewing Sainz and be like, so how was it? And it's like, I was impeded. It kind of sucks because I wanted to get into Q2. The car is doing well, etc. And I forgot what the question was that the reporter asked, and she's just like, I'm too mad right now to talk about it. And I thought it's like the man's mad. He was robbed.
Yeah,
he was robbed.
That was such a PR answer though, because he didn't want to get on mic saying anything bad and get penalized.
Yeah. So what about you? Who was the angriest?
For me, it was Max Verstappen after qualifying.
Yeah.
Specifically because he was asked about yet again about his points issues, like because he only if he got any points this whole race, then he could have been out for Austria. And he basically was just like, why do you keep asking me about this? I'm so annoyed. He actually said, he's like, this is very annoying. And this is so childish.
Yeah.
Do not ask me about this again. And then the poor interviewer was just like, okay. And just asked him about something else. And then no one else in that press line asked him about it. So
I think one of the most interesting thing about Formula One today is that they are all weekend in, weekend out. They are all responding to everyone's impressions of them.
Yeah.
So people being a point away from a suspension is one thing. Max Verstappen being 1 point away from a suspension is another because he is known as the most aggressive one.
Yeah.
So like if any other driver was just a point away, they would get a few questions about it and they would answer them and that would be it. But because it is Max Verstappen, the question hits different because everyone's like, do you think you're going to be suspended because you're a little bit of a hothead? And then he gets mad. And like, if everyone has a bad weekend, it's just that if Lando Norris has a bad weekend, it's like, are you mentally okay? So everyone is constantly
carries a little
answering,
more weight.
Yeah, like everyone is constantly answering to the discourse around them.
Yeah. Like nobody cares if Lance Stroll goes into the wall again. Because it's like,
for him, it's just like, are you going to retire? Which is a question if they ask Alonso, it's just whatever. Hamilton, whatever. Like it's a kind of a normal question to ask. But if you ask Lance Stroll, are you going to retire? That like it just lands, and he has to carry that question with him all the time.
Yeah,
and Verstappen has to carry the image of like you're the hothead all the time. Much like Hamilton this year is going to be like, are you still good?
Yeah.
So at some point, I imagine that he's just going to be pissed.
He's just going to blow
that
up.
Question, yeah,
yeah.
But that's very interesting.
Yeah,
yeah.
What about most cursed?
Most cursed. Alexander Albon.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, one, his car just exploded.
It did. I was like, what is happening? Because he didn't hit anything or anybody. It just, and something about like tape, like that part of the car is put on with tape. And I'm like, tape?
Yeah.
This is put on with tape?
Yeah.
These are gajillion-dollar cars that is put on with tape?
Yeah, but tape is light and thin.
True.
So
is it at least double-sided tape?
Yeah, to glue all the bugs on the outside of the car for aerodynamic purposes. So his car just exploded.
Yeah.
And I think that alone would get him the title of like, you were just going down the straight and the car go boom. But then terrible strategy. Even in the beginning of the race is already like, I don't know what we're doing. And then his engine just stops.
Yeah.
So that's a terrible weekend all around. But every time your car just explodes, like that, because if it's an engine failure that, smoke comes out, whatever, like that's bad, but that's a normal thing. If your car just rips apart,
it's like, what are you, Mercedes?
Yeah, that for me is that's a curse.
Yeah.
You?
My most cursed this week was the groundhog that Hamilton hit on lap 13, I think it was. If it makes you feel
any better, that groundhog was only cursed for a split second.
It sucks. And I was like, how did Lewis Hamilton had to be the one to hit him? Because he is such an animal lover.
Yeah.
Like, he was so sad after the race because he had no idea. He didn't know what happened. He knew that they told him that he hit something. It basically tore a hole in the bottom of his car. So he was like losing like half a second a lap or something like that. Because I remember like we were watching the race and we didn't know that it had happened. And it was like, why is Hamilton 30 seconds behind? Like they were showing the intervals and he was like 35 seconds behind the person in front of him. We're just like, what is happening? And there's like, oh, he lost 20 something points of downforce or whatever they call it. I don't know. Yeah. Something really scientific. But it was because he hit a fucking groundhog. He
teleported the groundhog to the shadow realm.
Pulverized.
Just like
that poor groundhog.
Did you watch the video?
No, I didn't. I didn't want to.
It is not gruesome. You don't see anything. You see the blur on the asphalt, and then, but the thing is the sound.
Oh no, I didn't. I can't watch that. No. Because I had seen photos of groundhogs before. Like it's a whole thing there, right? They have groundhogs, and so they're like on the side of the track and everything, and they've like shooed them off the track before. And I was just like, oh fuck.
Yeah, that one just quantum leaped into another dimension.
But yeah, the most cursed is the poor groundhog that Lewis Hamilton.
It's a very short curse, but a very real one.
But if we have to give it to an actual driver, it can be Lewis Hamilton for being like the biggest animal lover out there and killing that poor groundhog. What about the Cuntiest comms? What is your Cuntiest comms?
Once again, Alexander Albon. Getting all the awards. MBS should send him medals, is what I think. I don't know why you guys don't listen to me. It's really annoying.
It's really annoying.
It is really annoying that you don't listen to me.
They like saying the word annoying when they mean fuck you.
Yeah. And I saw that. I'm like, I get it, but also your car just exploded, man. Go home.
Go home.
This is not.
I
your
wish
weekend.
he had a boat on the side that he could just like get out and walk straight to the boat and get on the back of the boat.
Do a Kimi.
So
yeah, that was a contest. Like, I can't believe that you guys would just fight me on this. I feel.
See, I thought you were gonna have Leclerc.
Yeah.
Being like, what is it? I don't know why you don't listen to me.
I mean, it's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why you don't listen to me, but I think it's because that kind of communication with the Ferrari pit wall was just.
And it's the Ferrari pit wall.
Yeah.
My Cuntiest comms actually was George Russell.
Really?
After qualifying, because they asked him, since he was first and Verstappen was second, and they were like, well, what is it going to be like in turn one when the two of you are kind of battling it out? And he was like, well, I have a few more points on my license to play with. In earshot of Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
And I think it was after that that the woman asked Max Verstappen about that, and he was like, "This is so. Why are you asking me about this? This is so annoying." Because I really do think George Russell got under his skin. God, I love how much they hate each other.
Yeah, but at the same time, like they got out of the car. They congratulate each other, and then they sit there like it's fine.
They did, yeah. They're all fine. They're fine. They're bajillionaires. Yeah, they're fine. They probably live across the street from each other in Monaco.
That is very cunty, but also it just highlights how ballsy Alonso's. Because what Alonso's classic, like, he has a wife and 2 kids. Like, because George could have said that.
He could have.
And it would have meant the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But he didn't. Good. Nice. He said another very good thing. The very, very, insightful and sly, but also he has a wife and 2 kids at home is such a ballsy thing to say about a 7-time world champion. It's like, yeah, he's going to break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has to eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't mind if I die. He does. God damn it.
I just think that George Russell is just so sassy.
Yeah.
He's just so posh and sassy.
It's a good award. You chose well.
Thank you. What about best overtake?
I wanted to make you mad and give the award to one Lance Stroll.
Okay.
For his overtake on Gasly.
Okay.
Because it was a beautiful overtake.
Sure.
But because of not just the overtake itself, especially because it didn't really stick, but like the wind up to it and what happened immediately afterwards, it was Lando on Piastri.
Yeah, that was mine. Best overtake was Lando. For like 0.5 of a second, like half a second.
Yeah,
it's like it was beautiful. It was beautiful, and then it's like, oh no.
Yeah, and the fact like it was a beautiful overtake. Piastri's response with the X, right, that we talked about, like kind of go out on the outside to have a better
perfect.
Line. Also beautiful, and it makes the whole thing better. Like an X is a beautiful thing to see across like that. Is nice. Like someone overtakes on the inside and then they get overtaken on the exit of the turn. Beautiful, and then they go wheel to wheel down the straight.
I was on my feet. That's when I was screaming because I was so like I didn't know what to do with myself because like the girls are fighting. Yeah. Like
presidential alert. Girls are fighting.
But it was really beautiful, and I love that McLaren just let them fight.
Yeah.
Like there are no team orders in this, and I really believe that there's no team orders because they're 1 and 2. Like they did what they should do and they let them race.
Yeah. No, and so like Lance's overtake was more beautiful.
Was not.
But because of the context of everything, and even if they hadn't crashed, everything like the wind up, because we were like for 3 laps, is Lando going to do it? Mm-hmm. And then he did it when no one was expecting him to. Right into the hairpin. Not that it's impossible to overtake there, but like the DRS zone is so gigantic that you sort of expect everybody to overtake at the end of the DRS zone. It's not what he did.
Yeah.
And then the immediate response, and then going wheel to wheel, glorious.
If he hadn't crashed, if there had been enough of a gap there for him to get around him, he would have gotten around him.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was his fault. He misjudged everything.
Yeah.
he would have passed him, but he expected Piastri to do a thing that Piastri didn't do. So
yeah. Well, for the very last one is just best wall found. I think we kind of both.
The best wall found was Oscar Piastri. Yeah. Lando found him.
He was the wall.
He was the wall, yeah. He was the best wall found. There suddenly there was a Piastri-shaped wall in front of Lando Norris.
Yeah. I mean, my best wall found, of course, was Norris. Yeah. Because I thought learning about the Wall of Champions, like you've told me about the Wall of Champions, and it's the cover photo for this podcast is the Wall of Champions. Nobody hit the Wall of Champions.
There was one in practice. One person.
Right.
I don't remember who now, but
probably
there was
Lance Stroll.
Probably.
No, I don't know.
There was one champion boop on the wall, but not of consequence.
I should have for anger management. I should have said Lance Stroll.
Oh yeah,
because he just looked. This is his home race.
Yeah.
There were people there literally like cheering for him, and this is the only place he's gonna get that because he fucking sucks. He looked like somebody just ran over his groundhog. Like he looked so mad. Yeah. When he was doing his, and he, even though he was saying like the fans here are so great, we love the fans, he just looked like somebody just punched him.
He, to me at least, has always read as the unhappiest driver on the grid by quite a margin.
He's got the charisma of like a dish rag, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah,
like he's just, I don't know. I would love to have his bank account. I would not like to be in his position.
He's the only one in the billions.
Yeah.
I think. Like,
if I had his money, I would happily be in his position. But that is not a good position to be in.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that, billionaire or whatever. It kind of sucks to be in his thing. And then
I wouldn't dislike him so much though if there weren't so many stories of him just being an absolute dick to everyone. Everybody.
Speaking of Lance Stroll's future, what if the rumors are true and George Russell ends up at Aston Martin?
With Lance or instead of Lance?
Who knows? I don't know. The rumor that I saw was like he was being courted by Aston Martin. I don't actually know if it's to replace Alonso or Lance.
I don't know. I mean, Alonso's the best rookie driver.
Yeah. For 23 years now.
Yeah.
He's been the best.
I mean, no matter where he goes, George Russell's going to have that cunty personality, so I'm still going to like him. Yeah. But I do like Mercedes. They're my second favorite team.
Yeah.
So.
I think it would be nice. I would like I'm not saying that I don't want it to happen, but like any widespread of talent is cool.
Yeah.
Like because we've had, essentially two teams vying for the title every year. The teams change. Sometimes it's only one. But like at most, we've kind of had two. And now, like at the end of last year, there was some expectation of having three, maybe four, right? Like, have we got it? Because Red Bull, McLaren, Ferrari. But Ferrari keeps disappointing. Mercedes is not there yet. But if you have like,
what would he do with an Aston Martin car though? But they have a brand new, They have
Adrian Newey, and that means a lot.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see what the cars look like next year.
Yeah,
and like what they're going to do with it. Okay,
so
interesting.
Get ready for that. Who knows? Because it doesn't have a contract for next year.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is there like a cutoff date for when he could sign?
I don't think so.
Ooh, so there's not like a. What do you call it? A draft season like in other sports?
No.
And cut off the draft.
Yeah. So that was Montreal.
It was definitely a race.
Yeah, it definitely happened. A lot of things happened, just nothing that felt of consequence.
Yeah.
And the thing that had the biggest potential to have some consequence was immediately quenched by Lando being like, this is my fault.
Yep.
Because if he comes on the radio and goes like, bitch, then we would be having a very different.
And they start fighting in the paddock and everything. Yeah, but Lando knew he fucked up. Yeah.
I felt so robbed of a very cool battle.
No, I'm glad that Lando owned up to it.
Oh, no, yeah. That's, yes. But like the crash.
Oh, you wanted them to.
I wanted them to keep battling for the remaining 3 laps.
Yeah.
I wanted those last 20 seconds to last the last 5 minutes.
I'm just really glad that he didn't take Piastri out too, because he so easily could have. Because he did hit him.
Yeah,
like he did hit him.
Yeah, that would have been so bad.
Oh my goodness!
But that was in Montreal.
That was in Montreal.
That was your first Montreal.
Yeah, cool. Maybe next year we'll go, because it's just up the road.
Yeah,
cool.
So we'll see.
We will see. All right, so. Another good segue into in my day job. So I work in video games. So I have a video game podcast called Stupid Little Games, where we talk about all things gaming from the inside out. So each week I sit down with various insiders from the game industry. We talk about our current gaming obsessions. We tell stories from projects past and present. And then we play a stupid little game that I specifically write for each guest. So search for Stupid Little Games wherever you get your podcast. It is one of the podcasts on the Stupid Little Podcast Network, where you find this podcast.
Yeah. And it's just as good as this one. It's an amazing podcast.
I think it is a pretty good podcast.
It is a really good podcast.
It's fun. So if you liked this podcast, please subscribe on your favorite podcast app. And a review goes a really, really long way. We are a new podcast. We'd love to get into the algorithm for Formula One, for sports, for all this fun stuff. So subscribe, leave us a comment. Do any sort of interaction is really, 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 really good. You can follow me on Blue Sky. I am caketease.bsky.social, and you cannot follow me anywhere. I'll follow Gabe anywhere.
There is one secret social media profile of some social media that I do not log into and I haven't seen in a long time. But if you can find it, feel free to follow me there. I'm never going to accept it. But.
Well, I am super jealous of the fact that you have no social media, but you can always follow me, and then you can yell at me, and then I will yell at Gabe.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you should do that. Every time that you get mad at me, just go yell at Jessica.
Just go yell at me on Blue Sky.
Happy. Yeah.
But there's a huge video game community on Blue Sky. There's not as much Formula One yet, but I am finding them because their hashtag search system is a lot better than it used to be. So things are actually coming up, and there's lots of really cool conversations happening over there.
I do know that a lot of the Formula One people that I used to read on Twitter have, like, almost all of them have moved to Blue Sky.
Good. Because, it's not full of bots and Nazis and people yelling at you for liking something.
Yeah, whatever F1 community that I knew of on Twitter is on Blue Sky. So
rad.
So go follow Chain Bear.
Oh, yeah, I like Chain Bear.
Awesome. So do that.
All right, cool.
Yeah. And just in case you were wondering, this podcast is part of the Stupid Little Podcast Network. It is hosted and edited by Gabe Koski and Jasper Dew. The theme music is by the super talented Baird Russell. And thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next round.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.